Hello, welcome back to Phantastic Physics. Today I'm going to show a demonstration using this device here. This is called a Van de Graaff generator. And when I turn this machine on, this belt that's running through this device here is going to start stripping electrons off of this metal dome that's on the top. And so as this dome loses electrons, remember those are negative charges, its overall charge is going to become more and more positive over time. So this is just a device to create a very positively charged metal dome. Then I'm going to take Rapunzel, and I've already placed her on top. Rapunzel, like most other objects you could find around you, is completely neutral. So she has no net positive charge, no net negative charge. All the atoms that contain this object are basically, there's an equal amount of positive and negative charges, so she's a neutral object. So when I turn this machine on, and I'm going to go ahead and put this rubber glove on to protect myself. Rubber is an excellent insulator. When I turn the device on, you're going to notice that something very interesting happens to her hair. So what is the cause of this? Well, you may have already seen this before at some point in your life, but I'm here to give you a detailed explanation of the actual physics behind it. And so I have a diagram behind me. There's the metal dome there. There's a very poorly drawn Barbie doll. And remember I said that this dome is very positive. So I'm going to draw a bunch of plus signs inside the dome to show how positive it is. And remember, Rapunzel is neutral. So she has positive charges, she has negative charges. But what she's going to do is start sending electrons, the negative charges, into this dome because she has some to spare and she wants to try to neutralize this dome. Well, she's never going to succeed in that. It just has too much positive charge. But what she does succeed in doing is getting rid of a bunch of her electrons. So now she lost a lot of negative charge, and that makes her body overall positive. So we had this positive dome that she sends electrons into, making her positive. And that also extends to every single strand of her hair. So you have all these individual hair strands that are positively charged, and we know that like charges repel. So these positively charged hair strands are going to want to get as far away from each other as possible so that you end up with this result here. Okay, so here's another interesting thing that you might notice if you try this at home. So if you take your finger and you hold it near her hair, you start to see the hair get attracted to your finger, right? So you can see up here, even that braid is trying to come up to me. And so all these hair strands are like trying to get as close to my finger as possible. So why are they doing that? What is causing this attraction? Well, it turns out there's an explanation for that, and it has to do with something called induced polarization. So induced polarization is a phenomenon that occurs when you have a really charged object and you bring a neutral object, like say my finger, near that charged object. So remember, Barbie, or Rapunzel, had really, really positively charged hair, as we saw in the last part. So her hair is very, very charged, it's very positive. My finger is neutral, just like most objects. And so that means it is made of atoms, and those atoms have positive charges and they have negative charges. But what happens is when my finger gets too close to all this positive charge in her hair, it turns out that the electrons in my finger are attracted to all those positive charges. So they start to move forward to try to get as close to these positively charged hair strands as possible. And what that does is it leaves the rest of my finger back here overall positive, right? So we have this separation of charges that occurs because remember, negative charges are attracted to positive. So the ones on my finger are shifting to get closer to this doll. And this side of my finger and further back is now left sort of overall positive. So that separation of charges that occurs there is what we call induced polarization. So induced is sort of to cause something, and polarize means to separate. So we have this, I've caused a separation of charges by bringing my neutral finger close to this charged Barbie doll. So what's the net result? Well, now my fingertip is negatively charged, Barbie's hair is positively charged, and we know that opposite charges attract. And so that's what causes the attraction of the hair to my finger. And it turns out you don't have to use just a finger. You could really use any neutral object. It should work pretty well. But yeah, that's the idea. Thank you for watching Phantastic Physics. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more interesting physics content. Goodbye for now, and remember, it's a fantastic universe out there, so stay curious.